here's my question to you, Jeff, right away. Why not? Would you be a
Why
Tesla
wouldn't?
buyer and prefer it, like saying it with, you don't, your whole portfolio doesn't need to be Tesla, but would Tesla be somewhere in your portfolio?
It would, and I think it'd be in there for the fun, the fun of it. Listen, I have always admired Elon Musk and his entrepreneurial ability as well as his mindset. I mean, there is no doubt he's definitely, kind of out there a little bit, but I think that's what makes him unique. I think that's what makes him special. The things that he's contributed to technology are simply amazing. And he may say some weird off the cuff things sometimes that, get him in trouble. But again, that's what I look for, is these types of guys that are out there doing different things and trying to push the buttons on, technologies that no one else or very few people are willing to even attack. And what I love about him is he puts almost all of his own money into these deals at first, and I mean all of it. He's struggled. There have been some great books about him. So me personally, I love the entrepreneurial spirit of him. And as a company, Tesla is one that, I just wouldn't bet against, even though, the stock tends to get way ahead of itself in terms of market cap valuation. It's just too difficult to bet against it because there's such a cult following behind it. There are so many odd lot buyers in the stock, so many people purchasing for their sons, their daughters, buy it, put it away. That supply of stock doesn't come back into the marketplace, and that's why you find people having to chase the stock. And listen, he's got a couple great divisions in there with fantastic potential. It's so difficult to really put a value on what that potential might be. But what I would say again is, I wouldn't bet against them. And would I own a bit? I would. I would own it because I think it's a fun stock with enormous upside potential. As a riskier stock, I would own it. And that's my kind of view on Tesla. I've always loved the guy. I admire him. I think he's amazing.
Yeah, it's a definitely bet on the jockey type of story. I think you covered some parts. People are buying it and hiding it away. Kind of reminds me of Bitcoin. People buying it. Oh, I'm going to hold it so I can turn it in for a Lamborghini. It kind of is what you're seeing in Tesla. And you ask any kind of millennial. Whereas before, the typical blue chip stocks that people would talk about, oh, buy Microsoft, buy Bank of America and things like that. Now millennials are like, oh, buy some Tesla, buy some Amazon, these kind of tech stocks. And, you kind of crazy to not say Tesla is a tech stock. But it's definitely, to me, I would almost say, is it even a safer thing to hold for the next 5 years? What if someone said that to you, Jeff? What's your take? If, hey, like in 5 years, this will be somewhere above where it is now.
So that's a great question. I would say yes. I think that people love the brand that he's building. I think the technology behind it is sound. He's got great science behind it. I think that he's developed a great community of lovers of the product, and his team around him obviously is incredible. They've been able to execute flawlessly, generally speaking. So in 5 years' time, would the stock, or should the stock be higher than where it is today? I would have to say yes, and I would bet that most likely it's a lot higher, which is probably the reason why I would own it. And, there are many out there, of course, that say, you got to be short Tesla. And a lot of guys have been buried. A lot of smart money has been buried on this thing so far because their bet is completely wrong. And in the early days, I must admit, I was one of those guys that I didn't see it. I didn't understand it. I wouldn't buy into, all the people drinking the Kool-Aid on the crazy prices that people were saying, where could Tesla go? And then I started doing a bunch of reading on it. And I thought, you know what, there's a whole other world out there of people that love this product. Just because I don't necessarily wake up in the morning and say, oh my God, I need to go buy a Tesla. I mean, I'm not in the market for a car, as an example. But do I think electric vehicles are the future and the way to go? Absolutely. I think we all probably agree. So why couldn't it be Tesla? You know, like in the old days, me, when I was in the markets as a young broker back in the, 80s or whatever, General Motors or Ford, those were the companies we looked at. And actually Chrysler was kind of the one on the forefront, or at the forefront. Like, wow, they're innovative with some of the car designs that they came out with, the power cars, the muscle cars. So maybe Tesla is kind of that comparison nowadays. Not to mention, what he does in the space industry as well. I mean, imagine waking up every morning and being Elon Musk and asking, you asking as an outsider, I wonder what's on that guy's mind today. Can you imagine what's on his mind? like talk about having a full plate every single day. So a complete hat tip to him. I think he's brilliant. I wouldn't bet against him. Would I own it in my portfolio? Yes. Should it be higher in 5 years from now, assuming everything moves along nicely? Absolutely.
Luca, what's your take? Anything to add?
Yeah, I completely agree with Jeff. I played a bit on the COVID Tesla run. It was a beautiful run. It was up and down and very interesting to be playing a bit of a risk game there. But definitely, I would also say same thing. You would be foolish if you don't have it as a fixed portfolio allocation. Put a bit on the side. Have fun with it. It's a good stock. What many of the investors say recently is they don't like that all of the things that's happening with Tesla is 3 years ahead from now. It's not happening today. It's not happening tomorrow, but it's down the road, which is very interesting for coming future and the rise of the stock.
Yeah. I mean, curious and just a random off the topic. If this makes it in the video, then maybe it does. But I saw people saying, movies like I, Robot and all these like crazy futuristic movies about, whether it's robots, electric cars, flying cars, you name it. Does that fuel kind of the Tesla belief in why people buy into that stock?
That could very well be going with the moon truck. Cybertruck, right? Mars, Moon, interstellar kind of look to it. I'm sure that makes a great appeal to many people. Why they would buying into this Star Wars, start exploring futuristic car side of things, which Jeff also mentions. Like
I think that it's a really interesting point that you bring up, Jason and Luca, and it's also interesting to note that the average age of the average portfolio manager and their interest in what motivates them and what stocks to buy has dramatically changed from just 10 years ago. And so 10 years ago, when you had a guy in his 30s and 40s moving up the ladder at the funds and stuff, and what they were looking at is stocks that would be interesting, the whole methodology of looking at what should be interesting has changed. In the old days, it would be you got to buy Ford. Here's the reason why: the market cap is X. Their earnings are this. They've been doing the same thing for 20 years. They pay a dividend. It's this, it's that, whatever it may be. It's safe. The stock's at, $27, and within 2 years we see it at 40. That was a big win back then. Nowadays, the young guy in his early 30s, mid 30s, who's running that same, kind of similar portfolio is saying, Ford, what are you, nuts? I ain't buying that. Like, let me see what I got in front of me. And he's saying, I got Tesla. I'm in. Why is he in? He wants to get in. He wants to feel a part of it. He wants to be part of that community where he can talk to his other, portfolio managers and say, hey, dude, I got long Tesla today. We put on a position. We got 1 million shares. How you doing? And there's that whole thing. imagine being the outcast now if you're in your mid 30s or 40s and you're arriving at a dinner for portfolio managers and the guy says, "So what's in your portfolio?" "Well, I've got GM and Chrysler." "Oh, that's really friggin' nice." Well, 9 out of 10 guys are saying, "Yeah, no, I got Tesla, I got this, I got that." It's you gotta, people like, as social as human beings, remember, we like to be part of a group. It's very important. And that's how we get buy-in that's how we think we get buy-in from everybody, is by being part of that group. So when we're like-minded and able to share those similar ideas, it makes us feel good. So there's a lot of that going on too, that the reality is the portfolio manager nowadays has changed the way he views and looks at stocks and what the potential are of stocks.
I want to just bring up, they got kind of declined getting into the S&P the last go around. The next induction is in November. Jeff, what's your take? Obviously you've done a ton of equity stuff, a ton of trading. You've lived the life. Do you think they'll get into the S&P 500 in November?
Yeah, I mean, listen, my guess is as good as anybody, but I'd have to say yes. It's too difficult for them to say no to him. I'm surprised it wasn't included the last go around. And what it does do, of course, is it forces the funds now to start owning the stock. So any funds that don't own the stock, they have to allocate based on the fund, and they've got to buy shares in Tesla. And any other fund that currently owns it, based on their balance and weighting, they have to do the same thing and go in and buy shares of Tesla. So if it does get accepted, that's why we had the kind of previous run up. There'll definitely be a run up again. There will be a run up again. Listen, it's a volatile stock, and that's the new reality of today's markets. The day trading situation that Robin Hoods of the world and all these guys that offer so-called free trading. We'll talk about that one day. It's not free trading at all, but these so-called free trading outfits that really promote hard to the young generation to get out there and trade. Well, that's what they're doing. And they're buying shares and pushing up the price and pushing down the price. That the manipulation between the equity and the options market in these things is unbelievable. I don't know how to get away with it. Hopefully one day it is curbed, because volatility is far too high. It is way too much. And that's not proper investing. Proper investing is something much more over the long term. You buy an asset class and you hope to get a return of 10-20% a year, something like that. You should be happy. It's not about making 10% a day. It's irresponsible. You might as well go to Las Vegas, put all your money on black, So that's my feeling there. I do think they will get in, and the funds will need to obviously rebalance, and they will need to buy the shares.
Perfect. No, cool.
Pushing it higher.
Yeah. No, awesome. I think we're all in agreement. Definitely a lot of good factors for Tesla. Elon is, the king, really. So awesome. To make a, move to, let's move to a very fresh, exciting topic, getting a lot of people, I guess, chatting about this Nikola scandal. People are calling it, fraud, this CEO stepping down, leaving the company, because of tons of things, really the fraud, the bigger one, but even people are talking about the semi truck that they talked about in 2018 was actually just a truck rolling down a hill. It wasn't able to actually power itself. What are you guys' takes? Jeff, have you heard anything? What's your thoughts? Nikola as a company, obviously, kind of people would say as the number 2 to Tesla.
Well, I know, Luca, I know you or some of the other analysts at IBR wrote about it. And I know you've been fascinated by it. I have as well, but Luca, why don't you give us kind of your feeling on that one?
Well, very interesting company, doing something similar to Tesla, but with a addition of another combustion engine, or not combustion engine, but a alternative to electricity, which many people think will be the future of print. They had cool developments, very nice design. Company was heading nice. They were heading places. They were developing new cars, trucks, wanting to get into the truck industry. And latest developments which they did was a reverse IPO. So they took over a company that was already public and was, went around the lengthy process of getting listed and put on the exchange. So what they did was, news that came out was from a bear research company, Hildenberg Research, who published a very lengthy report on several fishy allegations, which we still don't know if are true or not. The SEC have gone in to investigate. What they're alleging is as you mentioned, Jason, their truck being a bit of a fraud, that they towed it up on top of the hill and then released it slowly for the demo. And again, a lot of these things can just be rumors. We don't know for sure, but a couple of facts that are very interesting in terms of the frauds is the partners that have supported the company from the early days, they have all cashed out. So all of their positions cashed out, several hundred of millions of dollars gone. That doesn't really show a sign of confidence. Then the insiders trading that has also been happening, where the CEO Trevor has sold a lot of his positions. He's figured a way to cash out of Nikola. He had several options that he has exercised, and a lot of equity still left in the company. Now with the latest development that his compensation from August has been withdrawn, he has agreed to not do it, and he's agreed to stay with the company as a consultant, because he's stepped down from the executive chairman position, and now we'll very excited to see what's going to happen with the company moving forward.
Jeff, here's a question for you. Obviously, you've seen billion-dollar companies. Allegations and people bringing up BS is not a new thing. Not every CEO, oh, this thing happened, oh, I'm stepping down, or it gets pushed out. Give me your insight here as a CEO, and obviously being a part of some billion-dollar companies. Do you want to give some insight as to what you think happened? And obviously, we don't actually know, but if you want to kind of, what do you think happened? What makes someone step down? Do you think it's real? What's your take?
I think Luca, you did a great job, by the way, of using all the right words that I would like to use as well, and always try to remember to use. I mean, they are allegations. We don't know if he's done anything wrong at the moment. There's an investigation going on, and so be it. But that doesn't make the guy guilty. And far too often, there's a rush to judgment in everything we do in life nowadays. Everyone's guilty immediately of something. And I'm glad, Luca, that you made those. You chose the right words, because let's give the guy the benefit of the doubt for now that he's trying to build a great company with a great product, and let's give him the benefit of the doubt that he's a great CEO for now, until the evidence proves differently. Based on all that, Jason, it is too hard at this moment to kind of make a call as to is it wrong or is it right. But generally speaking, we have a saying in the market, where there's smoke, there's fire. And money is generally, when you see the money plowing out of the stock at this moment, it makes you wonder, is there something much more behind the story? There's the old saying, loose lips sink ships. And you can be rest assured that with his deal, there are a lot of people with a lot of somewhat insider information as to what really is going on. And I think in the coming days, weeks, what have you, some of that information will come out. I can assure you that the SEC and the investigators have already approached others to say, look, Mr. Smith, we know you were involved. If you provide us with this information, we're not going to come after you. So if there's a case that they're trying to build because they feel they have enough evidence to go ahead and lay some charges against them, that's their approach. They will try and find others in the circle, use pressure against them to get them to, kind of rat them out and snitch them out. Hopefully on real, if it is to be true, hopefully on real evidence, real factual evidence, then so be it. But at this time, for me, it's just so tough to make a call. I don't know what to make of it. I'm fascinated by it. I do see it. I do watch it. I'm fascinated by the stories. It's kind of like the wild card one over in Europe. I mean, that thing just goes from 100 down to 0, a complete fraud. I was around in the Enron days, a complete fraud. So I'm fascinated by that. I'm fascinated by what is the mindset of this guy or of people like that, that makes them do those things. And we touched on it actually a little bit the other day in some interviews Jason and I did with, it's some of these guys, their ego gets in the way. They have a bit of money on paper profits. They cash in a bit. Next thing you know, they're driving 5 Jaguars and 2 Rolls Royces and a Lamborghini. I mean, if you see that in a CEO ever, it is probably time to ditch your stock and find something else. When a guy has such an ego problem, that he needs to go out, or a girl, that they need to go out and buy a ton of cars and upgrade, from a nice, middle of the road home or comfortable home to all of a sudden a $10 million palace on Rodeo Drive. There's an issue, there's a problem, probably time to take a hike. So that's the way I always look at it. If there's smoke, there's fire. And in this situation, I would say there's probably a fire burning somewhere.
If you're a let's say investor in the company, what's your experience of the situation like this? Would you ditch the stock already, or would you sit with patience? We saw a large sell-off the other day. We had around 20+% sell-off. Wouldn't that make any investor holding onto the stock currently a bit nervous?
If I was a professional investor, I would be out of it. I would definitely be out of the company. The reason for that is, the reason you buy a stock is you have a list of wants, needs, likes, and it ticks off the boxes. Here's why I bought Tesla, A, B, C, D, E. And until those boxes get unchecked, you don't sell Tesla. So in this case, if you had gone in to buy this and the boxes you had ticked off, 5 months ago, X, Y, Z were all there. And then all of a sudden, whoa, this guy is resigning. Whoa, the stock is volatile. Whoa, rumors of fraud. Whoa, a stock lemon, and the other guy comes out with these bad reports. There's a lot of smoke going on. So as an investor, I would, as a professional investor, I would say I'm out of here. I'm done. Why? Because there are 5,000 other stocks that I can put the money to work in, where I can feel a lot more comfortable and have a good sleep at night. Investing is all about being able to go to bed at night and having a good rest. And if you're doing that, then you're a great investor.